Now it's getting recorded. Okay, so final chapter, chapter 18 is the conclusion. It's like the final conclusion, the perfection of renunciation. And in this chapter, Lord Krishna finally gives the final instruction line, including instructions to Arjuna. So one thing which most of these instructions, many of these instructions are already covered in previous chapters. It's like a conclusion. So he repeats all the main things. Okay. So few things I will just highlight that Krishna says in text 5 that acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up. They must be performed. Okay. Why they must be performed? Because indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls. Purification. These acts when we do it in devotional service without expecting any return for the pleasure of Lord and His devotees, it purifies us. Why we need purification? Because we have so many unwanted things and we are contaminated with so many unwanted things from so much lifetimes after lifetimes. Okay, so that requires purification. And when we do these acts, sacrifice, charity, penance, in devotional service for the pleasure of Lord Krishna, then they purify even the great souls. So that purification is very much required. Okay. When we go to the temple, lot of purification happens. When we take the darshan of the Lord, purification happens. When we meet with devotees, lot of purification happens. Right? Otherwise, people may think, what like I can do everything what I do in the temple in my home also. But then the purification which happens in the temple does not happen at home. So that is what the main thing is. Purification is the key here. Okay. Because in the temple, we get the chance to serve the devotees, serve the Lord, to perform any service. That chance we don't get in our homes. That is the importance of going to the temple. Okay, another point, same point he's saying, all these activities should be performed without attachment or any expectation of result. This is the key. The moment we have any attachment or any expectation, the activity changes from for the pleasure of the Lord, for the pleasure of ourselves. And the moment it becomes for the pleasure of ourselves, even if it is subtle, like I am expecting some name, fame, or something, the moment it becomes for myself and not for the Lord, then it doesn't become devotional service, and it becomes more or less activity in mode of goodness or passion. Okay, so Krishna here says that these activities should be performed as a matter of duty. That is my final opinion. You say this is my final opinion. That's it. Like when you see judges give their judgment, this is the final judgment, final opinion. Like no more Supreme Court, no more challenging. That is the Krishna's final opinion. Okay. Okay. See here, Prabhupada says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, also it is said that any activity which leads to devotion service to the Lord should be accepted. That is the highest criteria of religion. Okay. A devotee of the Lord should accept any kind of work, sacrifice or charity, which will help him in the discharge of devotional service to the Lord. This is the topmost criteria for any religion. And any activity which does not help us in progressing in the devotional service to the Lord should be rejected. These are the two principles of surrender. Sharanagati will discuss later. But okay. Okay, now further Lord Krishna will talk that everyone has some prescribed duties, right? So they should not be renounced. So for example, our prescribed duties, because we have entered the Grihastha ashram, so we have responsibility now of about the family. So one should not escape from the prescribed duties which are there. thinking that, okay, I will devote my life fully to um, for the Lord. Sometimes people think that way, but that's not what and Krishna has taught in the Bhagavad Gita. One should remain wherever he is and then perform devotion service. One should not try to escape from life, from the life, thinking that it's troublesome. No, whatever, wherever situation one is, that has been given to you by the Lord to play that part. One is father, husband, wife. The Lord Krishna has given you that role for this lifetime to play. And that is the prescribed duty, and they should not be renounced. So it says, if one gives up his prescribed duty because of illusion, such renunciation is said to be in mode of ignorance. And if one gives up prescribed duty as troublesome, it's too difficult, I can't handle it because of XYZ reason, or out of fear of bodily discomfort, then that renunciation is in the mode of passion. Such action never leads to elevation of renunciation. This is the thing. I mean, mode of goodness is when one performs his prescribed duty only because it ought to be done, and he renounces all material association and all attachment to fruit, his renunciation is said to be in the mode of goodness. Okay. The intelligent renouncer situated in mode of goodness, neither hateful of inauspicious work nor attached to auspicious work, has no doubts about work. And further, Krishna says that it is impossible for living being to give up all activities. Sometimes people think, I will just, because the root of us being binded in this material world is the karma. That is the root, right? People think, let me give up my karma. Let me just totally give up karma. And because if I stop doing any activity, totally give up karma, then I don't have to take birth again because there is no karma. But here Krishna says it is impossible for living being to give up all activities. Because even if you are sitting, let's say you are not doing externally any karma, but internally your mind is still wandering on the objects of sense gratification on those karmas, then you are doing karma. So this is called the Falgu Vairagya. Falgu means artificial renunciation. Sometimes you will see people just artificially renounce everything, but in their mind they are still dwelling or getting attracted to those objects. So that is not beneficial. But he who renounces the fruits of action is called one who has truly renounced. So if we have to renounce, we have to renounce the fruits of our action, right? Do prescribed duty as a duty, as a matter of duty. It renounces all the attachment to the fruit. Give those fruits of your hard-earned work to Krishna, and it becomes a devotional service. Okay. For one who is not renounced, threefold fruits of action, which is desirable, undesirable, and mixed. These are the fruits of action which can be done in one of those three modes. Either the fruits of action would be desirable, undesirable, or it could be mixed. But they keep accruing after death, right? And that makes us, that makes us come back to this material world again. Yeah. But those who are in renounced order of life have no such result to offer or enjoy. So renounced, one can remain in the Grihasthashram and be renounced. One does not have to give up and take the renounced order of life. Like changing the clothes from white to that orange does not make one renounced. One has to be renounced within the mind, with inside. One has to get that renunciation inside. Outwardly doesn't matter. It's all bhakti is about all inside thing. Right? So even when one is in the householder life, he is doing all the activities like any householder, but he still could be the renounced order if he has no attraction, no attachment to the fruits of action. Okay. Now, one more important aspect which Krishna just tells here. that for our any action, for that matter, any action which we perform, there are 5 factors. Okay. Sometimes you will hear this word that nothing moves without the will of the Lord. कि भगवान की इच्छा के बिना एक पत्ता भी नहीं हिलता, ऐसा सुना है ना? That is true. Nothing happens without the will of the Lord. But there are four other factors which are involved. Total, there are 5 factors for any action to succeed. And those are the place of action, which is the body. Body is this body which we have given. If we have no body, we can't perform any action. So body is first factor. The performer. Performer is we, soul, who is sitting in this body. So this body is like a car, vehicle, which is given for us to accomplish something. But we are not the body. This is the main instruction of Bhagavad Gita. We are soul. Right? So the body, the soul, the various senses which we have been given, eyes, nose, ears, for 5 karmendriya, 5 jnanendriya, there are so many senses. So various senses. Then the different kinds of endeavor. Many different kinds of endeavor. Okay, so these are the 4 factors which are with us, meaning which is we perform. Before we try to do any work, we envision within our mind, okay, that is called endeavor. How will I do the work? What all things I may face? What all challenges I may face? How will I overcome those challenges? All this goes in our mind, and that is called endeavor. And then we endeavor, then we do that, right? If one does not endeavor, then work will not happen automatically. You have to do endeavor, and then you have to perform some action from your body and through your senses, and the soul is there involved. So these 4 factors are within us, belongs to us. But the 5th factor is the Supreme Lord Krishna, and that is the ultimate factor. Even though we are able to perform, like with the body, everything is in order, but if there is no sanction of the Supreme Soul, that work will not result in success. It will become failure. We may not be able to succeed in the work. So we should always remember, we should try our best to our capability, but don't think if you face failures that it's your failure. It may happen that the Lord Supreme Lord Krishna has better plans for you, and he may not want you to succeed. But one should not become disheartened. Okay, because of that. Ultimate sanctioning authority is supreme. I'll give you a very practical example which you will all appreciate and relate. Okay. Before coming to the West, Lord Srila Prabhupada tried very hard to preach this message of Krishna consciousness in India. You know, like he was loitering in the streets of Delhi. He was going in, if you have been in India, like he used to live, first he used to live in Delhi, and in the scorching heat of Delhi, he used to go, there's a place in Old Delhi, Chandni Chowk, somewhere there was a printing press. They used to go there and print this Back to Godhead magazines and just distribute the people there. So that was his. And then he thought things are not moving in the right direction. Like he was not getting any success in his preaching mission in India. He spent close to 20-25 years before he came to West in India. He started doing something in Delhi, then he moved to Vrindavan. And from Vrindavan, he again used to write and then travel in 3rd-class compartment. If you have been in India, you will never dare to even travel in 3rd-class compartment, because he did not have any money. He doesn't want to just spend money on himself, because first he doesn't have that, and he wants to spend money on printing. He used to write, travel in that 3rd-class compartment from Vrindavan to Delhi without having any food, anything in the morning, then go there, then take rickshaw. Sometimes he did not have money to even pay for rickshaw, so he will walk by foot so many kilometers just to go to that printing press and then print that magazine, Back to Godhead, and just distribute and ask people to donate. Sometimes people used to give, sometimes they don't used to give. You know how it happened, right? Sometimes people just rebuked him. You don't have any business like that. He faced so many hardships. One day it happened that he was going in Delhi and one bull, you see, bull, he hit him. Old man being hit by a bull and he was lying on the road. And because he was all alone, there was nobody. Then few people saw him and then took him to the hospital like that. And then he also went to the Jhansi in Madhya Pradesh, and there he started the League of Devotees institution there, something like this one. But again, he was not successful. But he did not give up. Even trying for 20-25 years, he got no success in India. He didn't give up. And ultimately, he came to the West and become successful here in US in preaching. And then in last 10 years of his life, he established 108 temples, initiated thousands of devotees, and now we see where ISKCON is growing. The point I'm making is because he was doing all these 5 things, right? Sorry, 4 things which was under his control. Let me share. So he was doing the actions with his body. He's involved. So as a soul, he was doing actions with senses. His all endeavors were in right direction. But there was no sanction from the Supreme Lord for his actions, for his preaching in India, right? Because Krishna has better plans for him. He wants him to succeed in his preaching machine in the West. That's why he did not become successful in India. If he would have become successful there, then maybe he would not have traveled to the West. And then Krishna consciousness would not have come out of India. So Krishna did not make him success in India. And in fact, he became very successful in US, Canada, and then this movement just spread like fire everywhere in late 60s, early 70s. And then in 1972, early 70s, when he went back to India, now he was successful in India also. And from early 80s to now, we are in 2024, the movement has exploded in India. You go to India now, there are more than 500 temples now in India. When Prabhupada left the planet, there were only 7 temples in India. Rest 100 temples were all around the world. Now it's the reverse. During Prabhupada's time, there was only 1% Indians involved in Krishna consciousness. 99% were all foreigners, a white body. Right? So it used to, even today, if you go to Vrindavan, they used to say, ISKCON temple in Vrindavan known as Angrejo ka Mandir hai, Angrejo ka. So that's how it was known. But today, things are completely reversed. Now, if you go any temple across, 90% are Indians and then 10% or 5% are others. Right? So the point which I'm making here is there is a sanction of super soul, sanction of Supreme Lord, which is the most important. So no matter if we do all of our things, but sanction is not there, then we will not succeed. But if sanction is there, then it becomes successful. So one should not get disheartened. And if one can teach this to our children, at least they will never have this burden of failure in their life. They will never think that they are the failures, right? Many times when young children, like particularly, they don't get good marks or they don't succeed in any competitive exam, they think it's my failure and they become so depressed. I've seen even children committing suicide in India also happens. In those situations, we should tell that one should perform to their best of the ability, but ultimately the result lies in Lord Krishna's hands. Sanction lies in his hands. And one should not be worried about the result. One should just do the action to the best of the capability, best of the ability, but leave the result in the Lord Krishna's hand. That is the important message here. Sanctioning authority is Lord Krishna. He is the supreme. And we just have adhikar, bolte na, adhikar on karma. But we don't have adhikar on the result of that karma. That adhikar is with Lord Krishna. If he wants us to succeed in particular activity, then we will succeed. If he doesn't, then it will not. No matter you hang upside down, you will not succeed if Krishna doesn't want you to succeed in one activity. Okay, and he's not far. He's sitting in everyone's heart. He's as close as he is with us only every time. Therefore, here Krishna, Prabhupada says, but all one's activity depends on the will of the super soul who is seated within the heart as a friend. The Supreme Lord is a super cause. Under these circumstances, he who is acting in Krishna consciousness under the direction of super soul situated within the heart is naturally not bound by any activity. Okay. And if you read the first few lines, the soul within the body is acting to bring about the results of activity, no karta, yeah. That the soul is the knower and the doer is stated in Shruti. Okay. Okay, basically it talks about these five, all the factors. So there is no one karta. Like sometimes people think everything is under my control. If I wish, people chalk out their 5-year, 10-year, 20-year, 30-year plan. I will be like this, I will have this much bank balance in this. And suddenly it happens that someone is diagnosed with life-threatening disease, or someone just dies in accident, or something happens. And all his 20, 25, 30-year plan just remain like this. So one should never think that he is in the control. Ultimately, the Supreme Lord is in the control. And when we make our plans like this, he within who is sitting in the heart must be just smiling, thinking that how childish we are. Like sometimes when parents see some childish behavior, they smile that this child is thinking like this, how childish he is. So they smile out of affection. Same is the case. Krishna smiles at us, thinking this poor fellow. I have so many big things for him planned, and he's just making his own plans for himself, thinking that those would be the best, right? But ultimately, he is in the control. He is the sanctioning authority. Without his sanction, nothing can happen. And because he is the friend, so he will never make any plan which is detrimental for our spiritual progress. Particularly when it comes for devotees, if one is on the path of devotion service, he will make sure that you don't deviate from devotion service. So he will not make you succeed in anything which is detrimental for your devotional service, right? So, and he will make you succeed in any action uh, which is favorable for devotion service. But that free will is still with us. Uh, Free will is still with us. If we decide within our heart, no, I don't want to do anything with devotion service and I want to go away, then he will let you go away. He will not hold you. But if in our heart we have given up, we have attraction to Lord Krishna and activities, then he will be your best friend and keep you on the path. That's the difference which happens when one surrenders at the time of initiation. Says one gets out of the officially, one becomes part of the family of Lord Krishna, and then Krishna considers him as good as himself, and he gets out of the clutches of Maya. Okay. And from that time, his all actions are dictated by Lord Krishna, and even the reward or any punishment is awarded by Lord Krishna. No more Maya. So those who are surrendered their life Krishna, they don't get any reaction for karma. They get, if they do any mistake, Krishna decides if they have to go through some punishment or something. Krishna may decide to even overlook. Right. So that is the main message. We stop here. I want you to take this message back and think on these verses which we had discussed today. I spent some time and contemplate and internalize and put it in your action. So next time when you do any action, think about it. If it is favorable for my devotion service, then do it. If from within the voice comes that it is not favorable for devotion service, then don't do it. And if you can't decide, then take help from the ones who are a little more advanced than you. And then leave ultimately the result to the super soul, the Krishna. Don't get attached to the result. So you try, like, that's the when we go out for book distribution, we actually see this happening in real. And that is why book distribution is one of the topmost service, because we are meeting unknown people when we go out on street and give books, and we don't know whether we will be able to give books, whether that person will take it or not take it. But we don't take it to our heart if someone doesn't take it. Let's say we approach 10 people. Sometimes it happened with me. Went on book distribution, nobody took any book. 2 hours I tried very hard, nobody took anything. But that doesn't, what you call, I don't take it to heart. Oh, it's a failure today. It's just that today Krishna did not want this to happen, so nobody took, or maybe only one person took, right? But someday a lot of books just goes out. So this all happening because ultimate sanctioning authority is Supreme Lord. He wants his books to go out to reach to the right candidates. He will send those right candidates where the books distribution is going on. And on some days he doesn't send, it's okay. Ultimate sanctioning authority is him. And we can see that happening in our lives. If you contemplate all the failures which have happened, think about that Lord Krishna did not want you to succeed. But think about future, like now wherever you are, Krishna make you succeed also. So he has a plan for everyone. And then karma, based on our karmas also, the material things are dependent on that too. And that makes our life move forward. Okay, so we stop here. It's 10:30. Thank you so much. Any questions? Any one or two questions, if anyone has, on this topic?
Prabhuji, I have one question. So
Yes.
sorry. So Prabhuji, why Westerners, they understood the importance of Hare Krishna movement, and being Indians, we did not understand that, and we did not allow to flourish back home.
Yes, good question. So you see, sometimes we Indians have a problem because we grew up in that environment where we see temples and people saying, we take it for granted that we know everything. We take it for granted. Something which becomes easily available, sometimes people don't value the importance of it, right? And
Right.
that's the problem in Indians, that they take it for granted that we knew this thing. Even when we give Bhagavad Gita or this thing, many people say, "Oh, I knew Bhagavad Gita, or I have Bhagavad Gita in my home," but they never opened it and read it and try to understand it. So that is the problem with us, that we don't value it. While in case of Westerners, this was something which touches them, like this was something foreign to them. They never heard about even the names of Lord Krishna, Radharani, Jagannath, and they immediately got attracted to the kirtan sound vibration. Initially, when Prabhupada came, thing which attracted all the foreigners was the kirtan. He was just alone doing kirtan with, he did not even have mridanga, he just have Western instrument, and he was doing in New York in Tompkins Square. There is a park there, Tompkins Square, under the tree. And then suddenly people started gathering and they were listening, and slowly started. But Indians, they never took him seriously in the beginning. But when he went back to India, along with his Westerner disciples, then everyone's eyes opened. Oh, the Swami is back in India with so much Western disciples, and Indians are always want to, what do you call, mimic or Westerners, like they want to do as what Westerners are doing, and that's when Indians also started taking this Krishna consciousness seriously, because they were saying, oh, these Westerners are dressed in dhoti kurta and singing and dancing and know this much philosophy, and we don't know anything. And then they took it seriously. But in the beginning, they did not. Other reason, as I told also, Krishna did not want him to succeed in India first. He wanted him to succeed here in the West. And this was his vision because through Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spread this message of Lord Krishna, spread this message of Bhagavad Gita to the Western people, Western world. So he's so compassionate. Otherwise, there was no hope for Western community, right, to get this message. So he make Srila Prabhupada as instrument to come here to the West and preach this message to everyone. And then when he went back to India, he was successful then. So that is the reason. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very, very much. I understood so well. Thank you, Prabhuji. And it's a very, very good point, and I 100% agree. I really understood the difference now.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Okay. So thank you so much again, and we'll meet next Sunday, which is June 16th, and we'll finish this chapter 18. With that, we finish this Bhagavad Gita also. On next Sunday, it will be done. Okay, that would be the last class. And yeah. Okay. And then we were talking about that